Hello guys, welcome back to the Manga Education Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Chen. I'm a writer-producer for the Manga Webtoon space. Today we are answering your questions that you guys submitted. Before we get to that, please smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Really helps us out. And subscribe if you're interested in more educational content about the anime, manga, webtoon space. Thanks so much. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. For someone with a lot of stories for manga, webtoon, but can't draw, where would be a good area to post? You know, I started off writing novels. I think that starting off writing novels, learning how to do storytelling in a really good way, and then getting someone to like really buy into your storytelling, and then working on a visual project. A visual project could be a comic, could be a game these days. There's a lot of different tools that you can use to build your own games. There's a lot of stuff that you can use to mock up a storyboard. There's a lot of ways or tools that you can use these days as a non-artist to be able to build a MVP, like essentially a proof of concept, and then work with an artist on the idea in the future. Bro, try to publish your manga on Manga Plus Creators too. If you won, you get $1 million in publication. What are you talking about? Is that a thing? Manga Plus is having $1 million contest? Webtoon is also having a $1 million contest, so that would be very impressive if it was. But I do want to get into the manga space this day. I put out a video earlier this year that is really focused on Brandon. I got to put out a manga this year, and I'm doing it. Here's some good questions from YouTube. How do you build connections in networking? Is it going to conventions, or is there more avenues? For me, it's meeting artists through the internet. It's meeting people through conventions. It's people reaching out on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. It's constantly putting myself out there. When you look at how many videos I put out, it's in the thousands. Why do I put out these videos? It's so that I can get the attention of not just readers and of people who are interested in education. Like, that's a big part of it. There's a bunch of people who I'm trying to reach, right? I'm trying to reach people who like anime, who don't know who I am, so that they can be introduced to who I am. I want people who like manga and then will read my series. I want people who are interested as creators that will check out my stuff and also be interested in learning more, and so I can like give them that education. And then there's also the people who are in the boss seat, which are like, oh, like I'm the head of a company, I'm the CEO of a big company, and I have all this IP and I want to adapt it into the space, blah blah blah. Like, Brandon, let's work together. I love your videos, I love your content creation, putting out all this stuff, being able to reach out to people individually. All of that is just from putting myself out there. You know, I think in certain industries abroad, like Japan, Korea, maybe less so Korea, but definitely Japan, it's definitely like more of an in-person thing. So having a proximity to Japan sometimes helps, like going to Japan, going to conventions, getting introduced to one person and then them introducing you to a bunch of other people is probably the best route. But that's a different thing. I think if you're in the US or if you're in like a Western country, putting stuff on the internet is a great start, and then you're like being proactive in your outreach is also a great way. Hi Brandon, I wish you could answer one question. Is it possible to make a webtoon manga, publish them at the same time with the same story and panels? I know art can be different. One did that with One Punch Man after he found Yusuke Murata to do One Punch Man, but before that it was a webcomic. Yes, I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. I think that you might be duplicating your efforts in terms of your work, unless it's like, oh, I did like a manga page format and then I split up those panels and put them on Webtoon as like a vertical scroll format. That's just repurposing, right? You just take a manga page and you repurpose it for the Webtoon format and you publish them simultaneously to get as much attention as possible. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. I think it's a great idea. As long as, you know, I would just recommend don't over invest into an idea that you don't know is going to work. So a good example would be like, don't try two different art styles on the same story doing the same thing and pay double the fee for like 2 chapters of the same. In my opinion, that might not be worth it. You don't know if the series is going to pop off. You have to know when to cut your losses and pivot. That's what the manga industry does. If you don't pop off in a few chapters, they'll axe you, right? And that's because there's a lot of key indicators very early on with chapters, whether or not it's resonating with the audience. And even if it is resonating with an audience, it's also whether or not there is a market for that audience. So like a bunch of people, you could have a 99% audience score, but if only 10,000 people are watching it out of 1 million people target, then it's actually considered not a great project. It's a niche project, which doesn't necessarily mean it's not well received, but in this space in particular where you're trying to hit broader audience, that can be quite tough. So yeah, long story short, I think you can do it. If it's repurposing, I would recommend repurposing. If it's doing 2 different styles, one for Korean style, one for Japanese style, I would not recommend doing that. I would just recommend doing a manga, repurposing, drop it on the Webtoon platform. Just do that. What about going all in on social media, meaning post all our comics everywhere or daily or weekly, and then when it gets big enough, you go for a publisher instead of trying to build it exclusively for Webtoon or such? Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what a lot of people do, right? It's like you build IP on social media and then you try and get it picked up, or someone gives you an offer. I think if you do it that way, building the project, funding it yourself, you actually stand and to retain a lot of your rights. And that's what you want as a creator, a lot of your rights, right? Because if you have a publisher that helped incept the idea, as in they were there from the very log line that you created, most likely they will claim a lot of that ownership, right? But if you created the project before they came in, right, the more further along in creating a project you are, and the more that you've done without someone else's like involvement, the more pull that you have. So a good example would be like web novelists. If a web novelist managed to do a novel and attain an enormous amount of success without any publisher touching them or taking their rights or marketing them, then guess what? They actually are in the best position possible because they have all the rights and they don't need a publisher and they have all the views and they can do all that stuff. And so all the publishers want to give them the best deal. The other way around is like you're a person who's going to Webtoon or a manga publisher and you're like, I have an idea. And then the manga and Webtoon publisher is like, okay, we'll make your idea happen, but you have to adhere to our rules. Then you'll take the worser deal. And so in that scenario, you're getting a worse deal than the person who built it from scratch. That being said, if your goal is to create a Webtoon, web novels have a lower cost of production because all it takes is words and your time. A Webtoon costs hiring artists, hiring a team, which is why it's a lot harder to do it in the Webtoon manga space because you have to hire people and it's a lot more physically intensive because you have to draw a lot. So that's why the studio structure and publisher funding happens a lot in the Webtoon manga space. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking to go all in on social media, check out Merriweather. He's really quite a popular creator that does that. He publishes a bunch of comics on the Webtoon platform, and then the successful ones, sometimes they get picked up and they become originals. And I'm sure his deal structure is quite good because he's the one who created the project before a publisher came in. So yeah, I would say that. But thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, peace.